Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to be doing a product review on this product here called Rhino Ramps. These are ramps that you can use for your vehicles to get them off the ground to do work underneath. So let's go ahead and get started. Now these particular ramps I have here, because I believe Rhino Ramps makes a couple different ones. These here are the ones that are rated for up to 12,000 gross vehicle weight for the maximum weight for both, for the pair. So that's the ones that I'm dealing with here. I've actually had these for a while. I purchased them probably about 3 years ago, but I wanted to really put them to the test because I do a lot of work on vehicles. So I wanted to really put them to the test before I did a product review. That way it was an accurate and a detailed, fair review of these. You can pick these up anywhere. This particular set here I picked up at Walmart, but you can get them on Amazon, eBay, get them all over the place. They're very common. I'm not sure who the actual manufacturer is because I've seen people call it out as Flow Tool. Other ones have called it Rhino Gear. There's no real label on the ones I have except for Rhino Ramps, so I'm not really sure who the actual parent company is of that. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of put these to the test. Like I said, I've been using them now for a few years, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've gotten out of them over that period, but also wanted to show you I've had sports cars on them, I've had compact cars, minivans, SUVs, sedans, all kinds of stuff. So I was going to show some clips of the different vehicles pulling onto them so you can see kind of the stress and strain on them and see how that is. And then we were going to kind of conclude and kind of give it an overall rating. But I want to flip this over and kind of show you how these are made because they are plastic. They're not your typical metal ramps like years ago. All the ones I ever saw were metal. So when I first saw these, they were plastic. I was a little skeptical, but after doing some research, I figured let me get them. And then while I was at it, I figured I would do a product review in time and see if it was really worth it and if they held up. So let's flip them over and I'll show you kind of what makes them be able to handle the load being plastic. So here we are underneath, and you can see it's pretty well supported. It has this patented polymer support system right here. It's about a 1/4 inch thick of this polymer plastic, and then it actually widens as it goes further in where the weight of the vehicle is to be distributed properly. And then you have these vertical and horizontal supports as well. So these are actually pretty well made. I mean, from the top, they look plastic, all that stuff, but when you turn them over, they are very well supported. A lot of your plastic ramps can't handle a lot of weight, but as mentioned already, they are rated for up to 12,000 gross vehicle weight. So I've had SUVs on here that are over 6,000 pounds with no problem. You do have these skid resistant feet here on the bottom, which I'm not too thrilled about them. If you're dealing with a finished garage floor like I have here, or on asphalt, pavement, things like that, concrete, you're fine. But if you're dealing with an unfinished garage floor that is more that smooth cement, you got to be careful because these will slide. So you want to make sure that you wedge them well where the tire meets the ground to get that traction. Otherwise, they can slide around, which can be annoying. But I'll get a close up here so you can see the support system here. It's actually pretty well made. As seen here, these are made in the USA, which is pretty cool. That's kind of a rare thing to see these days, but they are made here. Now, these are easy to store because they do kind of slide on each other, because where you have that support on the top, you obviously have that cavity area, so you can just slide them right on one another. They're light, so not that heavy, so they're easy to move around. They're practical if you want to hang them on the wall of your garage, or if you want to put them off to the side. They're not bulky like some of the other ones, and they actually clean up nice because not being metal, they're not going to rust, things like that. You do have traction right here, so the tires do have some traction, and then you do have the barrier here, so when you do reach the edge, you're not going to just fly right off. The tire will hit up against that and stop. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show some clips of different vehicles pulling onto these. We'll get close-ups as the vehicle goes on them so you can see the stress on there, and then we'll be back to conclude this product review. We're going to be pulling this Kia Rio onto these now. This has a gross vehicle weight of 3,660 pounds. We're going to go up slowly. You can see how I have them kind of wedged in right there, lined up with the tire. Come up. And you can see there how it rests right on that ledge. So as you're pulling these up, you'll know it because you'll come up gradually. Obviously, you don't want to go fast. But as you come up, you'll feel it hit, and then you know that you're lined up properly. You can also see how it's centered nicely. Let's get another shot here on the ramp. There's the tire. And another good thing about these Rhino ramps, they're actually pretty wide. So even for wider tires, you have a surface to pull up on, but you can see there. Nice and sturdy, and you saw when we pulled in, these things didn't even budge. They can handle this 3,630 gross vehicle weight with no problem. Let's go ahead and change up to another vehicle. Always make sure that you line them up with the tire. I like to center the tire on it. You don't want it to be too far to the right or to the left, because if it shifts, you don't want to go off. So I center it right in the middle and then wedge it right underneath. This next vehicle is an SUV that has a gross vehicle weight of 6,400 pounds. This is the heaviest vehicle that I've had on these ramps since I've been using them. Well, let's go up slowly. And then you want to always make sure, not just putting the car in park, but you want to make sure that you engage the emergency brake. If you're going to be getting underneath the vehicle, also chock the wheels in the back so you don't run the risk of it rolling back. And you can see here with 6,400 gross vehicle weight on these things, I mean, there's no buckling, nothing that looks like the integrity of it is being jeopardized or there's anything falling apart. They're nice and sturdy still. Let's head off to the other side and take a look at that other ramp. Same thing on this side here. You can see there's no buckling or anything that looks concerning with the integrity of these ramps. They're nice and solid, even if you look at it from here. Nothing bowing out. Let's go underneath, take a look here. Same thing there, it looks good. And as mentioned already, well, and you can see there the tire is nice and centered. And we're looking at 6,400 for the gross vehicle weight here on these things. So it looks good and nothing popping up off the ground or anything. Next vehicle that we're going to do is this Dodge Neon SRT. Has a gross vehicle weight of about 3,608 pounds, I believe. Let's go ahead and pull it up and see how it does. Here you can see it, and it looks great. No issues at all, which I wouldn't expect being a lighter vehicle. But for the sake of this review, I just want to show all different scenarios. And you can see no buckling out. Tire is nice and centered on there. Looks good. This next vehicle that we're moving on here is a Jeep Wrangler TJ. It has a gross vehicle weight of 4,450 pounds. Looking good on this one too. You can see the ramps there, nothing. No buckling out on the sides. Everything is nice and sturdy. Even here on the inside as we go around the actual ramp. Looks good. This next vehicle that we're going to test it on is actually a mid-engine car. If you've been following my channel at all, you might be aware of this Lamborghini Countach replica that I've been restoring. but it is a mid-engine car, has very wide tires. So we're going to take a look and see how the tires lay out on these ramps. Then we're going to back that up onto here. All the other vehicles that we've tested so far were all front-engine cars. So we'll go ahead and test this one. You can actually see how wide these ramps are. These particular rear tires on this car, these are actually Pirelli P7 series tires. They are 305s. They're not the 345s as the Countach normally requires. I need to get wider tires, but for now they're 305s. But you can see right there, they line up perfect without going over. The 345s are going to be approximately about an inch, inch and a half wider altogether, so you'll probably have about a half an inch overhang a little bit, but obviously the main tire is on these ramps. Here's the tires on here now. If we come around, you can see the ramps are holding up great. Now this vehicle has a gross vehicle weight of approximately 3,000 pounds, give or take a little bit, because this was custom made. I don't have the accurate specs on it to be precise, but it's around 3,000, but you can see here. Okay, well, this kind of wraps up this video at this point. Now I'm going to give it a rating. As you saw, we had various vehicles on this thing. We had anywhere from 3,000 gross vehicle weight all the way up to 6,400. And as you could see in the video, these things didn't buckle. They didn't, bow out on the ends, anything. They were nice and solid and sturdy. The vehicles were on there, no issues at all. As mentioned at the beginning, I've been using these for about 3 years, so they've been actively being used. I've had other vehicles that were not shown in this vehicle on these things, so they've definitely got their wear on them, which is what I wanted before I would do the product review. So one thing I did want to show is one of them does have a little bit of a crack here on the edge, nothing jeopardizing the integrity of the actual ramp itself. And I'll turn it here so you can see it. And get a close-up, you can see that. And that's pretty much it. Nothing really that's affecting it because it's not on any of the supports, just on the sidewall. And I believe what happened, because the way I stacked these and set them up, I think what happened is it got cracked in the moving and pushing it down on one another is the only thing I could think of. Also, when I've used these before on concrete floors, like the smooth concrete of a garage, and they slid a little bit, it may have kind of pinched the plastic and cracked it there. But other than that, these things are nice and sturdy. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I give these a 10 out of 10. I love these things. I use them, like I said, constantly. Highly recommended, but please make sure you check the weight rating. They do have some other ones out there that Rhino Ramps makes for heavier. I think it's like 14,000 gross vehicle weight. I could be wrong, but there is one that's actually rated for heavier. But if you're working on just SUVs, regular cars, things like that, you should be fine with these. So highly recommended, 10 out of 10. I love them. They're safe. That's what I like when you're under them. You can use jack stands and things like that, but I just feel safe with these because the car is just on them and everything's solid. Nothing can shift. So please send me any questions, comments. I hope that this video was informative. I hope this review kind of gave you the information that you might need if you're planning on purchasing these. As mentioned at the beginning, you can get these anywhere. They've got them on Amazon, they've got them at Walmart, Home Depot, all kinds of places. If you pretty much Google them, you'll find them everywhere. And they're fairly inexpensive. The price is going to vary, obviously, depending on the seller. So I'm not getting into that in this video. But please send me any questions, comments. I would love to hear from you. As always, I appreciate all the support. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.